Unfortunately, he really struggles with not being liked. And that's the Gemini curse. Another Gemini curse that they have to. Hi everyone, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Hallie, so grateful to have you all. Every zodiac season, I do why I love and why I hate a particular zodiac sign. So I'm doing Gemini because it is Gemini season, and I've decided to change why I hate, because I don't really like to use hate, to how a particular sign can evolve. So how Geminis can evolve. And I was talking to a Gemini. Actually, Gemini is one of my favorite signs. I was talking to a Gemini yesterday. I was like, I love working with you. It's a Gemini colleague, and I said, I love working with you. And she said, yeah, me too, because Aquarius and Geminis, we get each other. I do see the other side of Geminis, and we'll get to that. But something that I love about Geminis that I just want to expand on before I get to the negative side is, as my fellow Earth sign, they're not afraid to say what needs to be said. So if it's, sometimes I see a Gemini celebrity say something, I'm like, I've been like Azalea Banks. I don't agree with everything she says, but a lot of it, I'm like, thank you. Somebody's talking about it, especially being in the music industry, seeing things that I've seen that I wish more people were vocal about. So stuff like that. They're just very vocal people, and I love that. I love when people vocalize how they feel. I haven't seen the two-faced side to Geminis ever. I've never ever seen that side, and I don't know why I haven't seen it. I've seen it in Libras. I think Libras are the real two-faced sign, but that's another story for another day. But so today's about how Geminis can evolve. So I always say this about Geminis. The biggest thing about Geminis is that sometimes they, similar to Aquarius, want to be liked, and they have to accept that when you are a personality type like Gemini, like Aquarius, because you are the pioneer, you will have people that either really love you or really don't like you, and you have to make peace with it. You have to make peace with it, otherwise it's gonna eat you up alive. And I see that happening with Kanye West. I see him amongst many of his issues. Unfortunately, he really struggles with not being liked, and that's the Gemini curse. Another Gemini curse that they have to evolve from to find spiritual enlightenment and peace is letting go of this need to be materialistically successful. And I say all the time that I feel like Geminis, they really struggle with materials versus spirituality, and a lot of them have a lot of spiritual potential. Very creative people. Geminis are extremely creative, but something that pulls them back is materials, cars, money, women. They feel this need, especially the men. I see it a lot in the men. They have this need to prove their worthiness through materials, and it ends up being their demise. So that's why they need to be with a partner if they want spiritual enlightenment, if they want a peaceful life, who's down to earth, who's grounded, not somebody that ignites them. I would recommend for Geminis, Aquarius, Sagittarius. Also, earth signs can do good. And maybe Virgo. They're both ruled by Mercury. But just make sure that the earth sign is not material, like not materialistic, because that can be a demise too for them, because earth signs tend to be materialistic in general. That's the downfall. I wouldn't recommend an Aries for Gemini, but I also recommend Scorpios for Geminis big time. I think Scorpio makes a very good match for Scorpio if the Scorpio is not controlling, because Geminis don't like to be controlled, and I totally get that. So how a Gemini can evolve too is by not always saying everything that's on their mind. I love that about them. I love that they say what they feel. I prefer people like that, so you know where you stand. I don't like people that are secretive, even though People tell me I'm secretive. I don't feel like I am. But I prefer people that are upfront. And Geminis, for the most part, upfront. They're not really conniving people. I've yet to meet a conniving Gemini. I really haven't. Even if I don't get along with them, it's no hard feelings. We just go about our way, which is different to a Capricorn type. They can kind of hold grudges. Geminis don't really hold grudges. They say how they feel and they let it go. They just constantly let it go, let it go, let it go. And I really admire that about Geminis. It teaches me to let things go, really. Because for the most part, I'm good at letting things go, but they are very good at it. They're extremely good at, okay, if things don't go their way, okay, whatever. That person doesn't matter to me, you know. They live light, and I really applaud that. You know, it takes a lot for a Gemini to hold a grudge. A lot. Unless it's like very dire that they need to hold that grudge. Something else that Geminis can evolve with is who they choose to be in relationships with, because I feel like sometimes, especially if they're narcissistic, some Geminis I've met have been narcissistic, or that on the public light can be very narcissistic and can be very me types and kind of make themselves into victims. So I would encourage, if you have a friend that's Gemini that loves to be about themselves, and I used to have a friend that was a Gemini, and I used to tell him, hey, like, all you've been doing is talking about yourself for the past 30 minutes. You haven't even asked me how I am. And he used to be like, okay, I'm sorry, you know. And he would listen to me and he would work on it, which I really appreciated. But they need to learn to think outside of themselves. They can be similar to Leos in that way, where Leos can be very selfish, very self, me. Very similar to Leos in that way. But the difference is that Geminis don't mean to, and I might be being biased towards Geminis. I just get that energy from people that I've met, Geminis I've met. They don't mean to be selfish. They just want to talk, so they end up just talking about themselves, you know. Whereas Leos, their life revolves around them, you know. So I don't know if that clarifies it. That's just something that I've seen. That Geminis just tend to talk. And they just, I think it's kind of their icebreaker. So even if they're nervous, they're like, okay, I'm just going to keep talking because I'm nervous. And the other person thinks, okay, right, all you've done is talk about yourself. You know, you haven't really left room for the other person. So how Geminis can evolve is ask other people how they are. Don't forget that there are other people that want to speak too, because they can really dominate conversations. And not because they're just so good at it that they end up dominating it, you know. And it comes across to some people like they're selfish, but that's not the intention that I've seen. So if you're a Gemini, happy birthday to all my wonderful Geminis. I feel like I get along very well with Geminis, and I wish you lots of happiness, joy, success in this year to come. I love Gemini season. It's one of my favorites, and soon I'll be doing a full moon in Sagittarius reading, so stay tuned for that for members. And yeah, take care. I love you all.